I'm back. Welcome to a special edition of Couz's Corner. I'm your host, Jonathan Martin. I'm filling in once again for our good friend Couz. Couz is enjoying some much deserved vacation time with his family, and so I'm happy to fill in, serving up that top shelf news and analysis that you guys have come to expect. I'd first note, before we get started, I want to plug the show for Couz. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to this channel, Couz's Corner. Those are some easy ways to support Couz in this show. Help him keep the lights on while he's away. Heck, if I can host the show, you guys can do the easy things like this video, comment on this video, and subscribe to the channel. I will say, this is something that I have wanted to do again, hosting a show. As you probably know, I'm not a stranger to the channel. Couz and I host a Gold and Blue Breakdown show that we have done since the beginning of last season, 2024 football season. We record that. Usually gets released on Thursdays around noon. We do have some big plans for that, so coming up again. So I'm a familiar face here for Couz, so I enjoy it. And so I'm glad to fill in for him while he gets that much needed time off on vacation. The last time we did this, I did a couple shows. One of the shows that I did is where something I usually do on social media, and I do on our website, wvsportschat.com, is I open up the Martin's Mailbag. And that's just essentially where I take your questions. We put the questions out, or we put out there to ask us the questions on social media, and usually answer those in written form. But today, here on the show, we're going to answer them here on Couz's Corner. So excited to do this once again. There's the obvious football questions. There's the obvious basketball questions. But there's also a baseball question that was really interesting, especially right here after the 2025 MLB draft. The mailbag is a request that I often get, and so happy to be doing this again. Just a heads up, you'll likely see me one more time this week while Couz is still gone. So you have to put up with me one more time this week. So we'll dive right in. We'll start with basketball. I had one basketball question I thought was really good. So we'll start there, and then we'll kind of work our way over to baseball. And then we've got several really good questions for football. That's obviously top of mind for most people, just because, here in a month or so, we start practice up and then game start. So that's top of mind for a lot of people. First question was, have I heard any news on potential targets for W basketball? I guess probably the biggest thing I'll say on this is that news on the front of basketball recruiting has been extremely quiet. One thing we have come to understand about Ross Hodge and his staff since the little time he's been in Morgantown is that you don't get a lot of information coming out of there. They've been pretty tight-lipped about stuff. I do think there is one spot left potentially, and if I were rounding out this roster, I think they need a big man. They need one more. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that can come in and give you 30 minutes. It doesn't somebody that can come in and give you 15 and 15 every night. But I think we do need somebody on this roster that is capable of coming in and give them legitimate backup minutes. Somebody, if you could, that was 6'10", 6'11", had a little bit of meat on the bone for him. If you go back even to last year under Darren DeVries, we saw that bit West Virginia a couple times, and not having a little bit of size. It forced Hansberry to play down low, a little undersized there. So I'd like to see him do that. If you have followed us here on the show, on the channel, Couz and I both have talked about. I think Ross Hodge has done a really good job about piecing this roster together. He's got a little bit of everything. He's got some guys that followed him from North Texas. He went out and got experienced guys. He got some winners. He got a floor leader. He's got scores. He's got athleticism, and he does have a little bit of size. So I think right now, it's just kind of finding that last piece that maybe rounds out this roster. Not necessarily somebody that's going to make or break them, but somebody that can be quality. One name that has recently surfaced is a forward from Croatia, Luka Skoric. I'm not too familiar with the last name, so apologies if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. But an intriguing prospect, 6'9", 200 pounds. I'm not sure how much interest there is. There was a tweet several days ago online from a scouting service that linked West Virginia to him. Kansas was apparently involved. Pitt was involved and connected as well, apparently, according to that report. So somebody to keep an eye on. I believe averaged just over 5 points a game in the league that he was playing in over there. One thing that stuck out to me was 42% from threes. I would say a couple things here. First off, if you go watch his film, it's impressive. He does a little bit of everything. The videos, and again, highlight videos tend to show the good side, obviously, of everything about a player. But he was athletic. He shot the ball well outside. He drove to the hole. Was real athletic. It's actually an impressive tape. I'd encourage you to go watch it. Here's my concern about players that are overseas. And I will say part of it could just be my ignorance. I'm not as up to date on the international, on the overseas basketball style. My question is a level of competition at essentially 5 points a game. What levels he playing it against? Is it quality competition? So he's earning those points. Is he only getting 5 points a game by playing lower level competition? I believe he's 21 years old. So again, I don't know if that factors necessarily into the level that he's playing with. So I'm sure the coaching staff is aware and has a better judge of the talent level that he's playing against. Now, obviously, look, you're probably not going to get a lot of Pitt credit on this show, but if Kansas is involved, you got to think that there's some legitimacy there to his game. So I could see that. But I'm just not quite sure that's necessarily going to translate over to somebody that's going to give you a ton of minutes if they do come to Morgantown. So outside of that connection there on social media, things have been a little quiet. But again, it's going to be, because I think the roster is pretty much rounded out in terms of the guys that you're going to see focused night in, night out, the guys that are just going to get your minutes. And that they're going to lean most heavily on. And so it's not surprising that maybe this is a route they're looking to go, or that things have become a little quiet. Switching to baseball, one baseball question, and then we'll get to football. It was actually kind of a two-parter. I really enjoyed it. One, is WVU baseball becoming a powerhouse? And are we, West Virginia, a baseball school? So I guess I would start by saying it's really good to see the interest in West Virginia baseball. I started with Randy Mazey, what he did with this program, and then Steve Saban's taken over. You know, and I've talked about it here on the channel before with Couz, and I've even said it on social media. West Virginia fans are extremely passionate. There's the obvious for you. But I love it because it shows that they care. And the fact that I was seeing criticism, that I was seeing excitement, that I was seeing living and dying by every single pitch, every strike called, every walk batter, whatever it would be. My timeline on social media was filled with um, anxiety and excitement for West Virginia baseball. And I guess the first thing I would say, um, man, that's so good to see. It's so good to see. Um, and I've even said before, what a good time to be a West Virginia fan. It's always a great time, but this time in particular, with Rich Rodriguez back at West Virginia, um, the excitement is generated there. Ross Hodge hasn't coached a game yet, so people love him. um, but I think that everybody wanted that connection, wanted that good news, especially after the way last season ended with the basketball program in terms of missing out on the NCAA tournament. Darren DeVries just up and leaving. Not many people saw that coming. I think West Virginia faithful are starving for excitement there, and Ross Hodge appears to be, albeit early in his tenure at West Virginia. And then Steve Saban's in baseball. What they did last year, breaking records this year, Big 12 regular season champions. It's just the run that they made through the super regionals. Really, really good to see. And just the excitement in the air surrounding the baseball program is really cool to see. Really cool to see. So I don't quite know that West Virginia's a baseball school. Football and basketball may take exception to that. All joking aside, it's good to see West Virginia baseball matter and people care about it. But I don't know. I don't know it's baseball school. Hey, in terms of a powerhouse, yeah, why couldn't they? The facilities are really good. They're exceptional. Admittedly, I've not been to many Big 12 facilities when it comes to baseball, but I have been to Morgantown and seen what West Virginia has done there with the park and now the training facility. The amount of guys that they had drafted just a couple days ago in the 2025 MLB draft, the players that they're pulling out of the transfer portal is second to none, and you really have to be impressed with what Saban's and his staff are doing there. And then when I look at the Big 12, and we cover a lot of baseball at our website, what I see in the Big 12 is why not? Why not West Virginia? You go into 2 years ago, Saban's first season. Look at what they did this year. It's impressive. It's impressive to have the amount of guys that they had drafted, to have the transfers coming in and going into next year. Combine that with what I mentioned, the facilities. Why not? So I don't necessarily know that West Virginia is a baseball school per se. But I don't see any reason why they, it's back to back super regionals for West Virginia baseball, and I think they are quickly becoming, not just in the Big 12, but on a national level. West Virginia baseball is here and becoming talked about more and becoming more respected. In fact, I think it was D1 Baseball or Baseball America, one of the two. I was reading an article just a couple weeks back, and they were already talking about teams that they were predicting to go to Omaha next year. And West Virginia was mentioned in that conversation. And so, when you start to get mentioned there, you're being respected. And so I don't quite know that they're on powerhouse level when it comes to the Tennessees, the LSUs, maybe the North Carolinas, some of these other programs. But I think they're getting close, especially in the Big 12. All right, let's shift gears to football. This is where it gets good. I mentioned earlier, this is top of mind for a lot of people with Rich Rod back. Practice starting up here in not long, and then the season kicks off before we know it. So this is what a lot of people are talking about. So we're going to finish this with a couple questions regarding football. The first one, what is the word on BYU transfer quarterback? That's Jake Retzlaff, coming to WVU. This is one that seemed to come out of nowhere. To be honest, I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. I saw this report, if I want to call it a report. I saw it come across my timeline. I have to be honest. I don't think there's anything concrete other than that potentially somebody said they were told this, that there was involvement, maybe there was some interest. Um, I guess what I'll say is this could come back to bite me. Anytime you put words out there in the public for people to listen to, for people to read, um, I just don't see it happening. My gut says this is likely something that's kind of been blown up for nothing. I think Rich Rodriguez is extremely happy with who he has. Now, look, here's the deal. Retzlaff he's talented. Last season, he threw, I think it was almost 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns last season. So he's talented. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure that is where Rich Rodriguez wants to go just before you start camp. He's not been here. My gut tells me that there's nothing to it. Nothing to it. That was a good question. I staggered these questions for a reason. That was a good question because it leads into the next question, and that is that Rich Rodriguez made some noise with his I have 3 quarterbacks that he's comfortable with. He made that comment at Big 12 Media Day last week. Does that mean he has depth or he has no one? Yeah, that's a good one. That's a great question. This is actually one that I kind of stewed on just a little bit. I didn't want to ride both sides on this one, but is it safe to say that I think it's a mixed bag? Hear me out on this. In an ideal world, obviously West Virginia would have a quarterback coming back that was familiar with Morgantown. Maybe Rich Rod's obviously new, first year back at West Virginia, and so there's a whole new system. Everything's new there. But ideally, there would be someone, right, that is familiar with Morgantown, familiar kind of with the culture, familiar with the stadium, familiar with the field, familiar with everything behind the scenes, albeit a new system. That threw for 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns. Somebody that you can come in, he can hang your hat on, this is my guy. But unfortunately, West Virginia doesn't have that. Now, here's what they do have. They have a couple guys in Nico Markiel and Jalen Henderson that they feel really good about. High-ranking players, prospects out of high school. So a couple guys that while not necessarily proven per se completely throughout an entire season, at the college level, there's enough there that you can see in talent evaluation that says they've got it. We need to see it come to fruition, but they've got it. And then I think if you throw in a Max Brown, who has played some football at Florida, he's an intriguing one for me. He does a little bit of both. He's athletic. He can throw the football. He can run. He actually screams Rich Rod style offense to me, maybe a little bit more so than Markiel and Henderson. I'm a little bit concerned that he doesn't have enough experience, even though all 3 of them lack a little bit of experience. So yes, I mean, ideally, I think it would be in a perfect world. I think you would have that guy that you said, this is QB1. There's no question about it. This is our guy. Look what he did last year. And we're just riding that into this season. Unfortunately, West Virginia doesn't have it, but I'm willing to give a little bit of pass on the I have 3 QBs comment. And the main reason is it is new. It is new. These guys, whether it be Henderson, whether it be Nico, they're all learning. This is a battle, though, that we're going to have to watch all through camp. And to be honest, I'm not sure it's going to be solved all through camp. I think we could see both players play, barring something crazy, injury, something like that. I think we see both players play opener, Robert Morris. I think we could see both players potentially in the backyard brawl. You've got 3 games where you've got to kind of figure it out before you start the Big 12 season at Kansas. But something tells me that Rich Rodriguez, Red Rodriguez, Travis Trickett, Pat White, something tells me that they're going to throw some competition out there. And hey, I watched a little bit of an interview. I believe it was Rich Rodriguez with Tony Caridi at the Big 12 Media Days, and Rich himself even said, I may have to do a little bit more in camp with my quarterbacks than I would like to do. Maybe I've got to do something with my quarterbacks that I haven't done in the past, because I got to figure out a guy. And so while it's true that ideally you would like to have that one guy, I personally don't have an issue with the I have 3. I knew that kind of blew up. I saw those comments. If you've got 3, you've got none. In a perfect world, I'd agree with you. I mean, if this was Neil Brown coming back again for another year, if Rich Rod had been here for 3 years, 4 years, whatever it would be, I think I'd probably be a little bit more tense about it. But because all of these players are coming in with pretty much the same blank slate when it comes to the system that they're going to run, I'm okay with giving a little bit of leeway there. But it's going to be a battle. I mean, it's going to be about that. That is going to be something that everybody's keeping an eye on through camp. But I'm not quite sure that it's going to be solved during camp. I feel like I see one side of it say, here's what I will say too. I've seen a lot of people on social media say that Nico deserves the job. I see a lot of people say that Nico has earned the right to be the starter. I say this with all due respect to Nico because first off, I think he's talented. If you go back and watch some of our shows here that I've been on with Couz, I've been a defender of Nico. You go back to last season, that was maybe as almost near perfect of a performance at Arizona that I've seen out of a quarterback. Now, granted, Arizona struggled defensively, but that was a near perfect game for Nico. The following week at Cincinnati, as crazy as it sounds, the defense carried that team, West Virginia, to victory against Cincinnati. Nico didn't have his best stuff, but he won. And so are we judging quarterbacks by wins and losses? Sure, absolutely. So I'm a fan of Nico. I think Jalen Henderson could be a guy. I think given the opportunity to play, I've posted some videos of them working out this offseason. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. He looks legit. When I see Jalen Henderson, he looks the part. So both these guys have a little bit of the it factor. But going back to Nico, Rich Rodriguez doesn't owe Nico anything. He doesn't owe him anything because he stayed. Listen, I'm appreciative, and I'm thankful that he stayed. I'm darn proud he's a Mountaineer. I think he's somebody that you can go to war with. You can go into a game every single week with Nico, and you know you're going to get 100% out of him. Glad he stayed. Glad he's here. But because he stayed, I don't think that necessarily means that Rich Rodriguez or anybody owes Nico anything. Now, will he turn out to be the guy? Possibly. If you just made me pick right now, who's the guy? I think it is probably Nico, just because of that familiarity with Morgantown, like I talked about earlier. While he doesn't have not as much game reps, I do think that he's familiar. So I'd probably get a knock. But I don't think Rich Rodriguez, kind of got a little off topic there, but it's something I've seen a lot. I don't think Rich Rodriguez owes Nico anything. You can be appreciative, you can be thankful, but I don't think he owes him anything. I think this is the last question. The concerns surfaced just before Big 12 Media Day that there are eligibility issues with a few players at West Virginia. What is the latest and how serious? So the concerns surfaced just before Big 12 Media Day that there were some issues. West Virginia had released, I think it was a preseason media guide, and it left off a few names. There were some important names on that list. I will say credit to the guys over at Ear Sports, 247 Sports. They jumped on it really quick and noticed some of the players. I think we had kind of received some word. There were some whispers that maybe there were some issues, but there were some important names to this West Virginia team not listed. Those four players: Jamori Robinson, a defensive lineman; Justin Harrington, safety; running back Ty Edwards; and wide receiver Jeffrey Weimer. Those were the four names that were left off. Probably the simplest way for me to explain it, they all need a waiver from the NCAA. This is where it gets a little tricky. I've talked to people that have said West Virginia was fully aware of this, that throughout those players' recruitment, West Virginia was aware, and they were comfortable. They even structured some NIL deals that they felt like this was okay. This just needed to run its course. They would get the approval. They would get the waiver from the NCAA. No big deal. I've also talked to some people that says, I don't know, a little concerned. And it does make you wonder. And I'm a little hesitant to say this. I want to phrase it in a certain way. West Virginia beat out, especially for some of these players, they beat out some big programs. And so it does make you wonder if other teams didn't have the same level of confidence that they would be cleared. And so West Virginia just kind of won out. I don't know, but it does raise that question. And so really it just kind of, it depends on what side of the fence you're on. I hear from some, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. They knew this all along. Then I have others pulling the Lee Corso and saying, not so fast. It's a concern. You thought you'd have it by now. It's that's not come down from the NCAA. They've not received that waiver yet. The longer this goes, the more concerning it gets. I get it. I get it. If there's anything that West Virginia fans are paranoid about, it's a waiver from the NCAA. So you're not going to get any preaching from me about upping your confidence level that West Virginia will get the waiver for these players. I'm not here to preach. I get extremely concerned when it comes to the NCAA determining whether or not these guys get these waivers. And West Virginia, unfortunately, seems to have a very bad track record when it comes to that. But with each of these players, they offer something a little bit different. Jamori Robinson is unbelievably talented. He is a major piece. I'd say Justin Harrington, too, on the defensive side of the ball. Robinson is a major piece to this defense. Obviously, West Virginia had their defensive struggles last year and in the years past, and this is a completely new staff with Zach Alley now, a completely new scheme. But West Virginia fans have a extremely short leash when it comes to this defense going into next year. It just is what it is. West Virginia fans don't want to hear it's a new coach, it's a new staff, it's a new scheme. No, not after what they've went through the last several years. This better go in West Virginia's favor. I'll just say that. And Jamori Robinson especially, and I would throw Justin Harrington in there as well, are two very important pieces to this puzzle on defense. On offense, I think Ty Edwards is extremely important as well. With Jaheim White and some of the other additions they've made, I think that's one where you probably could get by a little bit. At wide receiver, you've got so many new names, but Weimer's a guy that's a little bigger, taller, stronger, physical, somebody that can play on that outside for you. And you can never have enough running backs and receivers in a Rich Rod offense. And so I don't quite know where my concern level is at right now. If I wasn't asked this, but if I was asked to put on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd honestly say right now I'd probably put it at about a 6. And the only reason I would lean more towards the I'm concerned side than not concerned is just because we're in middle July. Maybe this is something that doesn't come down until the 1st of August. I'm not quite sure, but there's two main things that are concerning for me. One of which I talked about the track record with the NCAA. I don't have a lot of confidence there. The other is with every single passing day, I get a little bit more concerned. Especially considering the players. These aren't just some guys that you had thought, yeah, they'd be nice pieces. I think I can get a small amount of snaps out of these players. These are some guys that are important. When you went to rebuild this defense and this offense, these are guys you went out and got relatively soon, relatively early. You focused on them in the portal. And so hopefully it comes to fruition. So concern there. Hey, that wraps it up for me. I will say once again, I really appreciate you guys watching. You are going to see me, as I noted at the very beginning of this show. You're going to see me, I think, one more time this week while our old buddy is on vacation. Hey, I'll say I've really enjoyed it. One thing that I would just reiterate to you, if I can get in front of the camera and I can get in front of a microphone and I can host a show, surely the heck you can like the video, drop a comment on it. Let me know what you think about some of my questions and some of the questions, some of my answers. Did I get them right? Did I get it wrong? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Maybe we can have a little discussion on that in the comment section. And subscribe to the channel. I know from talking to Couz and helping him out a little bit, that really helps his algorithm here. How cool would it be if we could somehow manage to speed that path up to 10,000 subscribers for him? I know that's a goal that he's really wanting to obtain. And so if anybody is new here, I'm not the typical face that you see, but our good buddy Couz is enjoying some much needed time on vacation. And so he's with his family, probably a lot more sunny and warm than where I'm at right now, but that's okay. I'm not too upset about him. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, like, comment, subscribe. Hey, head on over to our website. I will say that as well real quick if I can plug this. I don't think he's going to fire me while I'm filling in for him. wvsportschat.com. The website, guys, I want to say we are unbelievably thankful and appreciative for everything that the site and you guys have done for the site. We have a great group of writers. We talk, Couz and I do all the time about we want to bring professional coverage, but from a fan's point of view, if that makes sense. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, WV Sports Chat. We're excited for the season, for what the site's doing. We're excited for the season that's coming up. I won't give away anything quite yet, but we do have some big plans coming down the pipe for the season. Just really excited about what's happening here for him, for Couz on this channel, and some things we've got going on as we enter camp, as we enter in the season. So be on the lookout for all that. As always, as Couz would say, I hope I've served you up some top shelf news and analysis. And until next time, God bless and cue Country Roads.